Hey everybody, it's me, Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie, and welcome to another episode of Recommended. This is going to be a little slightly longer episode because I want to talk a little bit longer about this particular artist, and it is a 3 CD set, so the medley will be a little bit longer. I'm talking about a band called Fischer-Z. Actually, that's what I used to call them back in the day when I first got into them. But then I found out that the band's name is actually pronounced Fischer-Z because they use the British pronunciation of the letter Z. And this is an absolutely incredible band. Alongside Ian McNabb and a few others, John Watts from Fischer-Z is one of those artists that has been putting out music since, I think Fischer-Z was 1979 was the first album. And the albums that Fischer-Z or he puts out under the name John Watts, still incredible. He's continues to be at the top of his game, always surprising, always offering something new. But I'm not going to talk about their career. I'm going to talk about this new 3 CD set that just came out on Cherry Red Records. Now, how do I describe Fischer-Z? Now, first off, the band is John Watts, guitar, vocals, Steve Skolnick on keyboards, David Graham on bass, and Steve Little on drums. Now, the albums included here are the albums Word Salad, that was produced by Mike Howlett, Going Deaf for a Living, which I believe was also Mike Howlett, and it was engineered by Richard Manwaring. And the reason I mention that is because by the time they put out the third album, which is included here, and it's called Red Skies Over Paradise, Richard Manwaring, who had engineered the previous album, produced their third album. Now, this 3 CD collection, which looks really beautiful, because if you notice here, the CDs, go along with the actual album covers. The album covers are below the CDs. I'm going to take this one out here and show you. There is the Going Deaf for a Living, and all these are like that. And each CD has bonus tracks. John Watts is very interesting character. He very intelligent songwriter. Great lyrics. Sometimes he's approaching things from a humorous point of view, sometimes from a very emotional or political. The music is kind of, imagine like the first 2 XTC albums when they had Barry Andrews on keyboards, before, pre-drums and wires. There was quirky keyboards and slashy guitars and frenetic rhythms and stuff. Now, the rhythms in Fischer-Z are not really frenetic and bouncy, but, you will get songs like that. Some of the stuff does have punk energy, but it also has the precision of progressive rock. So things aren't wild like you're going to find on a Buzzcocks record or an XTC record or anything from the punk and post-punk era. It seems like everything is just really well thought out, and the keyboards will rise during certain moments and then fall during others, and some of the songs he'll hold back emotionally on them, others he'll just burst out and blow your speakers out. There's so much going on these records. Now, Word Salad was probably the most new wave sounding of the albums. That had the keyboards. They were trying so many different things. It's not synth pop because, John Watts is a guitar player. So it's this nice blend of post-punk, prog. Now, here's another interesting thing. John Watts has a very unique voice. He can go really low, and then he can go, I don't know, you call it tenor or something? He can go really high to the point where his voice is somewhere in between. And this isn't comparing him to either of these singers, but sort of somewhere between Pete Townsend during the 70s Who years and stuff, where he kind of was, he has a higher register than Daltrey, and Fish from Marillion. His voice kind of falls into that when he's singing in his higher range. That first album was more keyboard oriented, more quirky. By the time they got to Going Deaf for a Living in 1980, they were sort of coming back down to earth a little bit, a little bit more rooted in maybe some post-punk and some rock, because there's a lot of 60s influences on this, but maybe 60s influence from another universe. He was drawing in. John Watts writes songs that if we had more than 2 ears, we'd be hearing them in 3D. just so incredibly talented. As I was saying, Going Deaf or Living is more rooted in rock, still quirky. The band's biggest single, I think, was So Long, which is off this album. Actually, maybe the band's most well-known single, at least here in the U.S. You know, they didn't have any hits here in the U.S., but So Long did get played on some radio stations, alternative type radio stations. Maybe even got played on MTV. I'm not 100% sure. Now, the third album, which is called Red Skies Over Paradise, that album actually was really big in Europe, didn't even get released here in the U.S., and it was even more, you know, the sound was more compact. Steve Skolnick, the keyboard player, had left the band, so they were just a trio. And it was just, again, a bunch of great songs. They had a big song in Germany, I believe, called Marlies. It's very quirky, new wave. I'm probably messing up trying to explain this band because they are really indescribable. So what I'm going to do is I put together a medley featuring songs from Word Paradise. This is a 3 CD set containing their United Artists recordings. I think it's United Artists and Liberty recordings, and which basically means their first 3 albums. They broke up after Red Skies Over Paradise. John put out a couple solo albums. Then he put together a new Fischer-Z, and for the last 40-something years, he's been putting out Fischer-Z albums, John Watts albums, and they've all been incredible. So definitely check this out. If you like what you hear, buy this. Buy the vinyl if you stumble across it in the record bins. Anyway, let's give a listen to Fischer-Z, and I will see you on the other side.
First impressions often lie. They often fool a naked eye. A 69 Capri failed the MOT. What a waste of time. The worker. The worker. Another warning. Children dying. Children dying. Spiders on the wall. They don't pay no alimony. I like the simple life, but I'm drawn back to the heat and the light.
My morning call with Arabs in the hall, and you spilled off my tea. But it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Don't rely on leniency if you mess around with me. Don't deny my liberty. Don't fall
Well, that's it. I hope that you enjoyed that medley, and I hope it inspires you to check out the music of Fischer-Z. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring that bell for future notifications. And until the next time, remember me. I'm Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie.